welcome back to another video. For today, we're going to be analyzing the 2022 Monster Jam World Finals 21, and not analyzing, but my prediction for what the lineups will be for the main field, the showdown, and the skills competition. So let's get started. So first off, for the main field, I have to say Kristen Anderson will be his spot, and this is also in no particular order, but I think Kristen Anderson will get in because Kristen Anderson has had a really good year this year. She's in the lead on her tour, and so I think she's gonna get into the World Finals this year. I think she's gonna win her tour and get into the World Finals here, being her first World Finals ever. Next up, is going to be Adam Anderson and Gravedigger. Now, of course, it's Adam Anderson. He's in third place on his tour. He's had a pretty good year this year. He's had some good racing competitions. He's also had some struggles. He's had some good skills competition, but he's struggled in freestyle this year. He's not been his best in freestyle this year. He had some good freestyles in like St. Louis too, and I think San Antonio too, but he hasn't really had that many good freestyles. I mean, he also had a good freestyle in Minneapolis 1, but he kind of had a mediocre run in Tampa 1. He didn't have a good run in Tampa 2. He didn't even compete in Minneapolis 2, and he had pretty bad freestyle runs in the 2 Detroit shows. Hopefully Adam Anderson can come back in Seattle next weekend and get that win here. Of course, Adam Anderson, so he's going to get into the World Finals. Next up, I'd have to say Ryan Anderson and Son of a Digger, powered by Hoonigan. I mean, he's had a really good year this year, so he's obviously going to get into that World Finals. Obviously, I think he's going to win his tour. He has a pretty dominant lead over the fleet here. Next up, I'd have to say Tristan England and Earthshaker. Although he's very far behind from Brandon Vincent and Gravedigger, I still think he should get into the World Finals because he's Tristan England. We can see what he can do in a stadium. Like we looked at last year, in 2021, we got the chance to compete in Indianapolis, Kansas City, San Antonio, East Rutherford, and New Orleans, and Houston, Texas for stadium shows. We really can see what he can do, especially in Indianapolis and in San Antonio. Next up, I'd like to see Jamie Garner and Overboard. Now, Jamie Garner, he hasn't had the best season this year. He's currently in 10th place on his tour. Hopefully he can catch back up and try to get into this World Finals because Jamie Garner, I think he should get into the World Finals. He's a really good driver. I mean, he had some good freestyle runs last year. He had some, especially in the Houston shows, Orlando, Jacksonville, and in Arlington. He had some really good freestyle runs. He had some big air. He even had a freestyle win in Tampa back in 2020. So I think he should get into that World Finals. Next up, I'd love to see his son Zach Garner in Wildside. Zach Garner, he's done pretty good this year. He's had a pretty tough season. I mean, he's on a really hard arena tour. He's in 6th place. Hopefully, he can catch back up to the rest of the field and get into that World Finals and maybe even win his tour. I have him down for predictions to win Central Tour. So I hope he can win. I hope he can win that tour and get into the World Finals. Next up, I'd love to see Cynthia Gauthier in the Lucas Stabilizer. I mean, she's in a sponsored truck. She's Cynthia Gauthier, so she's obviously going to get in. She's in 8th place on her tour. She's not that far behind from getting into 6th place. She's not that far behind from Mark List and John Gordon. So hopefully she can get into that spot. Cynthia had a slow start to her season. She didn't do as well in San Antonio and St. Louis, but started to pick up in Tampa, and she's been pretty consistent in freestyle. And that's where she's going to be getting a lot of her points from. So I hope she can get into that World Finals and rock this beautiful Stabilizer truck. Next up, we got John Gordon and Bad Company. He's also had a pretty good season this year. He's in 7th place on Stadium Championship Series Red. He's also in 15th place on Arena Championship Series East. But John Gordon, he's had a really good year. He's had some nice freestyles. He had some nice freestyles in both Tampa shows, as well as winning Minneapolis 1 and Arlington freestyles. Then John Gordon knows he has what it takes. I'm thinking he should get into the World Finals this year. He's a really good driver, underestimated. So yeah. Next up, I have to say Bryce Kenny in the Great Clips Walk War. He had a slow start to the season, but he started picking back things up here. He's in the top 5. He hasn't had as good as freestyles as he has this year as he's like to. But he did have some nice freestyles in Detroit and in Minneapolis. So hoping he can pick back up the momentum and get some better freestyle runs. He's been struggling at freestyle over these past 2 years. So hopefully he can pick up some ground freestyle and do really well. Next up is Jim Kohler in Avenger. I mean, he's Jim Kohler, so he's going to have to get into the World Finals. We can't have a World Finals without Jim Kohler. He's struggling a bit on this season here as he's really far behind from Caleb Blood and Soldier of Fortune. So I hope Jim Kohler can get into the World Finals. I mean, he's turning like I think 59 years old this year, maybe even 60 years old. So I don't know how many more years Jim Kohler will be driving. This could be his last World Finals ever. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. But we need Jim Kohler in the World Finals. I hope he can get a racing win here and end off his career with a big bang here. And now I'm not confirming that Jim Kohler is retiring. I'm only making a prediction. And so yeah. Next, I've got Todd LeDuc and Blue Thunder. I mean, we can't have the World Finals without Todd LeDuc. He needs to be back in the World Finals, especially after getting robbed in 2019. And so I do think that Todd LeDuc should be able to come and be in the World Finals. He's a really good driver. He's had a lot of good freestyles this year. He's had a lot of big air. Had some good freestyles in both Tampa shows. He had some good freestyles in St. Louis. He had a really good skills run in Minneapolis. He had some good runs in Minneapolis. He has some big air in Detroit. So Todd LeDuc really needs to get into that World Finals. Next up is Brandon Mahan in Whiplash. She's in currently 4th place on the East Tour, but hopefully she can pick up some momentum and get into 2nd place. I mean, she had a really good freestyle in 2020, so she's got a. Not 2020, World Finals 20, so she needs to come back and be in that World Finals. Next up is Tom Meents and Max D. I think Tom Meents and Max D really, it's Tom Meents. He's obviously going to be in the World Finals. So right now, leading Red Tour. I really hope he can get that win here on Red Tour. This may be his second to last World Finals. I'm almost predicting that after next year he'll retire, since next year is the 20th anniversary of Max D. But I hope not. I hope I'm wrong, but Tom Meents here, I really do hope he should be in this World Finals. He's had some good moments this year in freestyle, especially in Tampa 2 and in Detroit 2, where he had a nice save in Tampa 2 and massive air in Detroit 2. So he's got to get in this World Finals. Next up is Tyler Mendigo and Gravedigger. He's having one of the best seasons so far in a stadium tour. We can see what he was doing. I had some doubts for him coming into this year in stadiums, but he's proved me wrong. I think he should be in the World Finals. He's going to probably sort out. I mean, Tyler Mendigan, he's done good in World Finals racing along the past couple of years. He didn't do as good in World Finals 20 as he did in World Finals 18 and 19. Freestyle's kind of been a struggle for him at World Finals. He hasn't had really the best of freestyles. So I'm hoping he can have a good freestyle run and a good racing show here in World Finals. Next up is Camden Murphy in the Bakugan Dragonoid. He's obviously going to be in this World Finals. He's really bounced back after not driving and just returning driving this October. So Camden Murphy, he's having a really good season. So I can't wait to see what Camden can do. He should be in the World Finals. He's in a sponsored truck, and he's a really good driver. He had a really good freestyle run in World Finals 20. He got robbed after the backflip to moonwalk. So hopefully he'll be able to moonwalk it across the track again. Next up is Bari Musauer in Zombie. Bari Musauer, he got scammed in racing, so he should be back in the World Finals. He had some freestyles wins this year, like in El Paso and in El Paso and San Diego. He's got some freestyle wins there. So Bartomeu Sauer needs to be in the World Finals this year. So excuse me. So yeah, he needs to get in that World Finals spot this year. Next up, we got David Olfer in Jurassic Attack. I mean, he's in 4th place currently on his tour, but I think he should get into that World Finals. Because he's joined Jurassic Attack and made Jurassic Attack's first appearance in World Finals. Personally, I think the truck should have gotten into World Finals like around in 2008, but it never did. But so, this could get Jurassic Attack's first appearance into the World Finals. And I also hope it gets into the World Finals because that'll be my first time ever seeing Jurassic Attack in a competition, as I've never seen Jurassic Attack in person before. So, yep. Next up, I'd have to say Nick Pagriludo and Kraken. Nick Pagriludo, he's had a pretty okay season on Red Tour. He's currently in 9th place. But I hope he can get in the World Finals. I mean, he had a big freestyle win in Tampa this year. He can be unexpectedly fast in racing. So I think Nick Pagriludo should be in this World Finals. He's an underrated competitor. I think he should be in the World Finals. Next up, I'd have to say Matt Pagriludo and Jester. I know, this is a very controversial spot. Matt Pagriludo has struggled this year. It's not his fault, but I'd have to say it's the truck's fault because Matt's truck breaks a lot. A lot this year. He's broken his truck and has struggled. Aaron Kane helped him out a little bit back in Aaron Kane helped him out in Detroit. But I hope Matt can get everything together. I mean, his body's nearly destroyed. Also, I don't want him to unveil a new body at World Finals. I think he should keep his blue body because, honestly, the blue body looks really good. It looks the best on this truck. I really do love the blue body. But, honey, it really fits the truck now, so I hope he keeps his blue body. So, he needs to get in the World Finals. I mean, he had a really good season in 2020. He got robbed out of the World Finals in 2020. If it weren't for the pandemic, he would have been in the World Finals. He was having one of his best seasons ever in 2020. He won in Tampa, had good freestyles in Jacksonville and in Miami. He had a pretty good season. He had a pretty good season in 2020. But then in 2021, it almost seems like his truck just started breaking and he kept getting last place in all the overall event championships. It's not Matt's fault. His truck just for some reason kept breaking. I don't know what happened to his truck chassis between 2020 and this 2022. It's been hard and rough on him. He can't seem to fill 30 seconds, or he'll fill out the time, but it wasn't really big. He's so far the only truck on his tour to have not attempted a backflip at all this season. So hopefully Matt can get a backflip. Hopefully Matt can turn things around and sort of jump up. I had him in my original predictions on the tour to finish in 7th place. So I really hope Matt can jump up to there and try and get into that World Finals because he deserves it. Next up, I'd have to say it would have to be Charlie Plotkin in Monster Mutt. Now, Charlie Plotkin in Monster Mutt, he did not get into the World Finals in 2019. I don't know why. That's a bit scammed. But luckily this year it's a bit less competitive with not as many drivers. So it should be an easy guarantee for Charlie Plotkin. Maybe Charlie Plotkin, after not driving that much last year and driving Stone Crusher a few times last year, he's got to get into this World Finals. He's got to get into the World Finals this year and do good. He's had a lot of racing wins this year. He's had some decent skills challenges. He's had a lot of good freestyles, like his big air like in World Finals 11 back in World Finals 11. When he got that big air, he got some big air like that back in Glendale. So I hope he can have a good run here and get into the Monster Jam World Finals 21 because he deserves it. Alright, next up I'd have to say Corey Rummel and Megalodon. I mean, this should be a guaranteed spot. It was a really tight end to get him in for 2019. But I do think for this year he's got to get in. He should be in really one of the easy spots here to get into that World Finals. He's had a lot of good moments this year. He's so close in racing. He's had a lot of good freestyles. He needs to get a racing win. So, yep. Next up, I'd have to say Cody Saucier in driving. He's not winning his tour right now. He used to have a good points lead, but Weston and Armando have took him over. So I hope Cody can bounce back and try to take this points lead away from Weston Anderson and get into that World Finals. Cody couldn't get in 2019. He struggled in the season because he was put in an arena. Yeah, he was doing really good in 2020 until the COVID-19 pandemic struck. But I think Cody's got to get in here driving this fiery beast of dragon. Next up, we've got our, I believe, second to last competitor, Cole Vennard in the Black Pearl. Should be a guaranteed spot. Guaranteed. Now, Cole Vennard, he hasn't had some of those crazy saves and wow factors like he was getting in 2019 and 2020. But he's still doing pretty good. He's in 4th place on his tour. He's got like an 18-point lead over Bryce Kenny and the Great Clips Mohawk Warriors. So he's got to get into this World Finals this year. This Cole Vennard, it's an automatic. I mean, he walked the plank in Detroit, so I hope Cole Vennard can get some nice wild saves and end off the season with a bang heading into Seattle, Philadelphia, Denver, and in Salt Lake City. Next up, the last main field competitor is Brandon Vincent in Gravedigger. Brandon Vincent, he's leading his tour. He's probably obviously going to win. He's had really good past 2 years. 3 years back in 4 years. He's done really good almost ever since the start of his career, 2018. He did pretty good. He got to the finals in the showdown competition, but red lit and lost to Corey Rummel and Pirates Curse. But then he came back 2019. He won his tour. He got into the Monster Jam World Finals. And then he got into the World Finals, and then he didn't have as good as a World Finals appearance, but he did get into that skills competition and win that. And he didn't win that. I don't know what I was talking about, but he had a really good run there. Didn't have as good as a freestyle, so let's hope we can get back into that World Finals this year. Also, missing out drivers from the main field. There's kind of a lot. Wes Anderson and Gravedigger. I mean, he's probably gonna get in over. He's probably gonna get in over Matt Pagrialudo, probably. So he's gonna probably be in the World Finals this year. He's probably gonna win his tour. For me, still has hope for Cody to get a win here, but Wes Anderson had to put him in here, missing out. Also, Caleb Lund, Soldier Fortune. I mean, she is over Jim Kohler, but I suddenly it's too tight this year. So she's had a good season though, but I don't think she'll get into World Finals this year. Randy Brown. I mean, he won his tour in 2020, which automatically gives him the berth in the World Finals, but he hasn't competed this year, so he's gonna be missing out. He hasn't competed that much this year, except for to fill in for Armando Castro and for Bernard Light in North Charleston and in Vancouver. Armando Castro, no tour logo. I mean, it's just too close, so there's too many competitors. There's a 32 truck field, then he would obviously be in. Craig Champion, he's had a really good season this year, but he's too far down on his tour to get in. I mean, so one of these El Tour Loco drivers, whether it be Armando Castro, Craig Champion, and one of them is going to probably get into the World Finals. Miranda Kozad and Scooby-Doo. She is driving a Scooby-Doo truck. She's had a decent season. She's in 6th place, but don't think she'll get into the World Finals. Cole Michaelberger and Max D. I mean, you win your tour, you automatically get in the World Finals, but COVID kind of scammed him out in 2020, and he had a baby this year, so he couldn't drive this year. When he was supposed to drive on Stadium Series Yellow, so it's unfortunate for Cole Michaelberger. Elvis Lainez and El Toro Loco. He may get into this World Finals this year, but I don't think he will. I mean, it's just too tight this year to have an El Toro Loco spot in this World Finals. So, yep. I'd have to say Mark List and El Toro Loco. He's probably going to get in this year because he's driving El Toro Loco in a stadium. But, honestly, I don't think he'll get in. Next up, we've got Bernard Light and Megalodon. It is his hometown, but he's not really having the best of season this year, so yep. Travis Maury and Rockroll Red. He's had a pretty decent season this year, but I don't think he'll get into the World Finals. It's too tight. Preston Axe, he's also had a really good season, but it's just too tight. Just too tight. Lindsay Reed, she got pregnant, as I mentioned earlier, so it would be kind of dangerous to be driving pregnant, and she hadn't driven at all this year, so she probably doesn't deserve World Finals, even though she is the reigning champion. John Zimmer Jr. in Terminal Velocity, he's had a pretty good season, but I don't think he can get into the World Finals. It's just too tight. Neil Elliott and Max D. He's not going to get into the World Finals, unfortunately, this year. He's retired. I mean, he went your tour against World Finals, and COVID kind of scammed him out. Neil Elliott, and also, it's kind of sad, because Neil Elliott never got a World Finals championship. So, it's kind of sad that Neil Elliott didn't get a World Finals championship, and yep. Next up, I think this is our last missing out is Jimmy Cretin and Bounty Hunter. I mean, Jimmy Cretin, I mean, he won the last World Finals. He is the reigning champion. It's almost going to be the first time in a long time where we have a World Finals and neither of the reigning champions are going to be in the field. I don't know why Jimmy Cretin isn't there driving Malmstrom this year in Philly. It seems like he's been doing more independent stuff lately, so hopefully someday he can come back to Malmstrom, maybe during the second quarter, but it's unlikely, or maybe for next season, but I think that's also very unlikely. Next up, we have the two-wheel competition, who I think should get in. Ryan Anderson, I mean, over the past 2 years, he's had some really good skills runs, especially with him starting to really innovate his bicycles into sidewalls. He hasn't been doing as many bicycles in the moonwalks lately, but those bicycles in the moonwalks, we can get one of those really good. Hopefully he can, but he's also been getting really long bicycles and a bicycle on the sidewall, so he obviously is going to get in. Hyler Menigan, Gravedigger. I mean, look at his Miami skills run from Miami show too, so he's obviously going to get in to that. Tom Menson, Max D. I mean, he won hit the last time, so he's got to get in this time, and he's had some pretty good skills runs as well. Camden Murphy in the Bakugan Dragonoid, he has some really good skills run. He knows how to walk and balance that truck on the front two wheels, so, yep. Brandon Vincent and Gravedigger, he has some really good skills runs this year. Plus, he got top 3 last time, so I think he should be back in that competition. Tristan England, Earthshaker, he really wants to get into that skills competition run. He has some really good skills runs as well, so, yep. And also have Armando Castro and El Toro Loco. So, I think he should obviously, get in. We also have Todd LeDuc and Blue Thunder, which, he should, obviously get in. I mean, he really had a good skills run back in Tampa 2 and in Minneapolis 1. He had some good skills runs, but he got robbed and never won either one of those. I don't know why, but fan judges just love to scam Todd LeDuc. Dude, they've scammed him so many times. Like they scammed him in Tampa 2 Freestyle in 2021. They scammed him at World Finals 20. Minneapolis 1 skills and Tampa 2 skills. Fan judges apparently just hate Todd LeDuc, I guess. Okay, for the high jump competition. Okay, I'm going to have to say, I'm picking 4 from each tour off the stadium tip. Adam Anderson and Gravedigger. I mean, he's just been skying, and he has some good hair. And over these past 2 years, just driving Gravedigger and Megalodon, he can just really sky this truck here and get some really big air, so he's got to get into that. Cynthia Gauthier, she's the reigning champion. She's also had some big air this year, especially in Tampa's 1 and 2. She's had some big air. Jim Kohler and Avenger, we can't have a high jump competition without him, so he's got to get in. He can still sky that truck. Todd LeDuc and Blue Thunder. I mean, they look at some of the big air he's gotten, both the Tampa shows in Detroit too. So that's an obvious one. Tom Menson, Max D should get into there, especially after World Finals 20 in Detroit too. Barton Musauer should get in, especially after his big leap over Gravedigger back in San Diego too. So he should get in. As well as I think Corey Rummel should get in driving Megalodon. In Megalodons, because he's had some really big air this year, like when he won Anaheim Freestyle earlier. Are you missing out from the high jump competition? I don't think Matt Pagri. I mean, I forgot to mention this, but Matt Pagriludo. I mean, yeah, he skied that truck in Tampa 1 in 2020, as well as he had some giant air in that big crash jump he had in Minneapolis 1, so he's missing out. Tyler Rangos had some big air this year, but he's missing out. Chris Anderson is the high jump world record. I would put her in there if she was in a stadium tour, but she's not, so. Ryan Anderson at Sun He had some big air this year, but I think we should conserve his truck for freestyle, so, yep. Charlie Falcon and Monster Mud, he should be in there after what we saw in Glendale, but it's just too tight. Maybe there's a 10 truck field or 16, then maybe yes, but Nick Pagriludo and Kraken's also missing out after his giant leap in Tampa, so yep. And also, I'm going to right now go back since I actually forgot to include some of these images. Okay, my PowerPoint slide is frozen. My PowerPoint is glitched.